live.
Go. We tried quiet, it didn't work. Frankie, will you bring me a... Well, folks.
Yeah.
We are accidentally live.
Give me a... Actually stand up so that I can... That should... Actually, I'm so... Yes.
So, this is of course a live video, so bear with us as we figure things out.
We are good, I think. We are going to be telling some... You'll see Cersei as she wanders around.
Our third edition of Campfire Tales. This is where we gather around an actual fire. This is a real fire. And we tell spooky stories.
Stick your hand in and show them.
You gotta prove that it's a real fire.
Yeah, put your hand in there.
This is very hot. So, yeah, if this is your first time tuning in to one of our Campfire Ghost Tales, what do we call it? It's just Campfire Tales,
Yeah.
Campfire Ghost Stories,
Yeah.
Campfire Ghost Story Tales?
Campfire Tales.
Yeah, Campfire Tales. Campfire Ghost Tales. Tales on ghosts. Ghosts with tails.
Yeah. Casper has a tail.
It's a working title. We're working it out. But yeah, we go around, we tell some scary stories. They aren't always ghost stories. They could be other stories, as you have seen before. And
They aren't always scary.
sometimes they're scary, sometimes not so much. But what we're going to bring to you tonight is some never before heard stories. And we usually go around and come up with our own story. Sometimes on the fly, sometimes with prompts from people in chat. So, I hope you're all having a great Friday night. And return.
All right, so what do we want to do? Who wants to tell the first tale tonight?
I think you should kick it off because you have the most.
Ah, yes, by having two.
Yes.
I have the most tales.
Well, couple of other
Yes.
fun ideas.
All right, I
Don't look
will, we'll let chat decide since Jesse's over there and he can read it. I have one titled The Bellman. I have one titled Shadows. So we'll give you guys like 30, like
And we'll have 30 seconds of complete silence.
yes, we just will not talk.
We have multiple for Bellman, multiple for Shadows. So
Great.
yeah, it's going well. We'll let them keep trickling it on in. These are both for me. Hold this for me while I drink it.
Well, what we'll do is we'll start with The Bellman.
Cheers.
I actually think it's the scarier of the stories. So
Apple juice.
that's the one that we will start with. Unless you're seeing other votes over there.
They were pretty split from what I saw,
All right,
but I also can't read,
that's true.
so nobody will ever know.
That's true. Okay, let's start by telling the tale of the Bellman, even though it is tough to read. I'm gonna have to put this other paper down. Are we ready, gentlemen?
Yes.
Already.
I never should have said it out loud. It
How
started
else are you
as...
gonna read it?
Wow. We're not gonna get through it, are we?
Rob just reads ghost stories to himself. That
Just
was a
silently
scary
reading.
one. Reaction. Come see how scared Rob is while he reads this story.
I never should have said it out loud. It started as a dare. Just some stupid chants kids whispered in the schoolyard. I laughed at the older ones, told them I wasn't scared. Then they pressed me. Ring the bell, count to 4, knock 2 times upon the door. I didn't know what door, but I said it anyway. I even finished the rhyme, just to prove that I was brave. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't throw the spooky dust in.
We also didn't put on a microphone for TikTok. So
I also didn't put the microphone on for TikTok. Shall we start over?
from the top, it's all right. I also
All right.
forgot to light my beef jerky on fire.
Sorry, everybody. We're going to restart this. This is the Bellman. As I light us all on fire. I never should have said it out loud. It started as a dare. Just some stupid chant kids whispered in the schoolyard. I laughed at the older ones, told them I wasn't scared. Then they pressed me. Ring the bell, count to 4, knock 2 times upon the door. I didn't know what door, but I said it anyway. I even finished the rhyme, just to prove I was brave. Ring the bell and count to 4, knock 2 times upon the door. Hide your eyes and hold your fear. If you see him, you'll disappear. That night I heard a bell, soft at first, almost playful, like the kind that rings from a school or a distant church. I told myself it was just the wind, until it rang again. Louder, closer. Each time it rang, the air grew colder, heavier, and the shadows under my dresser stretched farther across the floor. My breath felt thick in my chest. My room wasn't my room anymore. Then came the knock. 1, 2, but not from my door, not from the hallway, from inside the walls. I froze, every muscle. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. The rhyme echoed in my mind. If you see him. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop. Out of the corner of my eye, he was there. Pale, impossibly thin, taller than any man should be. Hollow darkness twisted where his face should have been, and his form seemed to stretch and sway, bending the very air. He didn't walk toward me. He leaned, and the shadows pressed against my skin, tugging, pulling, as if the bell itself had marked the distance he had to travel. I tried to scream, my mouth opened, and only a whisper came out. My own voice, repeating the rhyme over and over. Ring the bell, knock 2 times, hide your eyes, hold your fear. With every word, the shadows tightened. I felt myself lift, weightless, as if the air itself was dragging me from the bed. The bell tolled again, now deafening in my ears, and I realized it wasn't just a sound. It was him. Each chime measured how close he was, each echo a step in his silent approach. I don't know how long it lasted. Seconds, hours. When I blinked, I was somewhere else entirely. A forest of shadows, still and silent, and I looked behind me. Nothing, and yet I knew I had disappeared. They'll tell you it's just a story, a silly rhyme, a dare kids play, but I know better. If you ever hear it, remember, don't finish it, don't count the knocks, and whatever you do, don't look, because if you see him, you'll disappear.
Did you disappear?
Yeah, didn't you see me? Gone.
It's crazy. What was your, what made you think of that?
The Freddy Krueger rhyme.
Oh.
I wanted to do my own rhyme.
Nice. That was good.
Thank you.
Nicely done, sir.
That was always, I thought, the scariest part of the Freddy Krueger movies is when the children are doing the rhyme.
We have so many children here. You could have hired one of them.
I should have.
to do the rhyme for you.
I should have.
No, that's plenty creepy. Well done.
Thank you. Yes, so that was the Bellman, and I've thrown the story in the fire, so we will never hear it again.
That's true. Unless you rewind the tape.
Who was up next?
I can go or you can go.
Oh, we could refer to the book.
We
could
could
get a book.
So this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, one of our beloved fans mailed us a book of short campfire stories. And I brought that book with me. Put that back, please. And I brought that book with me. And it's full of short, terrifying stories, or I assume they're terrifying. I haven't read any of them yet. But we figured we could share one with you today. Jesse, would you do the honors?
We could.
How fast can you learn how to read?
Well, I will read the entire book and let you know what my favorite story is.
You start at the beginning. Jesse's going to start at the beginning. Chapter 1, Table of Contents. Are you going to be able to see those?
Yeah,
They're
they're very long.
they're very long.
Are they? I thought the first one was only a couple pages. I mean, a couple pages.
Right.
You know what we could do?
Prepare next time.
Well, this one's called The Sausage Factory, so I think I'm going to go ahead and read this no matter what. All right, Cisa. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Cersei, my goodness. Are you okay? That was not a graceful tumble. Poor dog. She's fine.
Okay, Cersei.
Not even a real dog, CGI. All right.
That's not how you spell dog. Not off to a good start reading.
Let me get a mic from where you.
I think Dave has you.
Oh, that's very difficult to do one-handed. We're going to get it done. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
We'll edit that out.
A little behind-the-scenes action for you guys. All right, I got to put down the book.
Directly in front of the scenes. Give me the book. Thank you.
That's nice that you put the book down more gentle than your own dog. It's all right, Cersei. You can come home with me.
She's fine. All right, so this is called The Sausage Factory. And forgive me, I'm not going to stand because I need to angle this in the light. My wife and I were introduced to Herr Mueller shortly after we moved to New Orleans. We quickly discovered that our families both hailed from the Black Forest region of Germany.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, we knew many of the same places and even had a few friends in common back in the old country. Eager to become better acquainted, Herr Mueller invited us to dinner in his home, and we were quick to accept his offer. We met Mueller's wife over a meal of bratwurst and sauerkraut. Frau Mueller was sour-faced, bitter woman who, though only 35, was wrinkled and old before her time.
Oh, like you, Cersei.
During the course of our dinner conversation, we learned that the couple owned a small sausage factory that Frau Mueller that Frau Mueller's hard work had contributed not a little to their bottom line income. Some people might think that Mueller was lucky to have such an industrious wife. Myself, I preferred my soft-spoken, pretty spouse, and didn't care a whit about how much she contributed to our bottom line.
Didn't care a whit.
But each to his own. A few months after we met the Muellers, the office in which I was employed as a bookkeeper burned to the ground.
Oh, no.
Herr Mueller generously offered me a job working in the office at the sausage factory.
I bet he did.
During the course of my new employment, I was able to witness up close the relationship between Herr Mueller and his Frau.
His what?
Frau.
Frau.
It's his wife.
Oh,
Herr and Frau mean like Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
gotcha.
It did not impress me. Frau Mueller was sharp-tongued and as hard as nails. Not an easy woman to live with, or to work with, as I quickly discovered. During my first month at the factory, Frau Mueller inspected my account books each night, down to the last penny. It was most disconcerting. She soon realized that I was an honest and ethical man who had no desire to cheat my employers. After the first month, she left the bulk of bookkeeping to me, merely inspecting the records once a week on payday. I took this as a high compliment from Frau Mueller. I could tell that she liked me because she never complained of my work. And once she even gave me a compliment on my timeliness and the neat appearance of my office. Frau Mueller was not so pleasant with the rest of the staff, and her treatment of Herr Mueller made my skin crawl. Gott im Himmel. The woman never ceased complaining about her husband. That's a translation to God in heaven for those of you that don't speak German. And yet,
And you do.
it actually gave me the translation
I know,
right next
I
to it. So I wanted to act smart for a brief moment there. Felt good. And yet, he bore the worst of her tongue lashings with a smile on his face. Must be nice. And if he were deaf to her words, I could never understand it. It was my wife who found out the truth. The greengrocer told my wife that Herr Mueller slipped out of his house each evening after Frau Mueller went to bed to visit his plump girlfriend, who lived a few doors down from the sausage factory.
We didn't write this one, folks.
It was shocking behavior for a man who regularly went to church each
How did she
Sunday.
escape from the sausage factory?
But it did explain how he could face his wife's bitter complaining with a smile on his face. Herr Mueller was cuckolding her.
Oh,
What book did you get us?
what is it, folks? What are we reading?
Frau Mueller did all the hard work at the factory, and her husband used the hard-earned profits to shower his girlfriend with treats and take her to dinner. Before I could decide what to do with this information, Herr Mueller came into the office to tell me that Frau had gone back east to visit her ailing mother. Mueller's cheeks were flushed, and he spoke rapidly, as if the news about his wife excited him. He was so chipper and jittery that morning that it made me nervous. Something didn't seem quite right to me. Perhaps he intended to divorce his wife while she ran away. That's not really how divorces work. That would explain his nervous behavior. The negative press surrounding such a scandal would be dreadful, but Herr Mueller might think that it was worth the price of a lost reputation and customers to be rid of his Frau's complaints. Mueller generously packed her bags of sausages to... Wait a second. Did she travel back to Germany with just sausages in her
Don't
suitcase?
you? That's the only way you're supposed to travel to Germany. It's the only thing that gets through customs.
Was ist dies?
I must have misread that. But we're going to accept that as part of the story now. No, Mueller generously passed out bags of sausages to all of his workers at the end of the day shift, something he would never have done if Frau Mueller were present. I took my heavy bag home and handed it to my lovely wife with a kiss. Dinner was already cooked, so she put the sausages in the cooler for another day. Over our meal, I told her about Frau Mueller's ailing mother and about Herr Mueller's strange behavior. "You might be right about the divorce," she said. She talks like that.
Does she?
"You might be right about the divorce," she said, as she went to fetch a pot of coffee and dessert. Poor Frau Mueller. Throughout the following week, several of the factory workers dropped by my office to complain about Mueller's free sausages. "It was a terrible batch," the floor manager said to me one morning during his break. "No wonder Herr Mueller was giving them away. Did you eat any?" Not yet, to be honest. "We put them in the cooler and forgot about them. My wife said she'd fry them up this evening for dinner," I replied.
What's happening over there?
Nobody knows. "Tell her not to bother," the floor manager said. "The ones we ate had a bit of bone in them, and my daughter found blue threads in her sausage." My hand froze over the ledger, and I slowly set down my pen. The floor manager's daughter had found a blue cloth in the sausages? That wasn't possible. Unless... My body started trembling as suspicion blossomed in my mind. Frau Mueller wore a blue outfit to work every day. It was her favorite color. Oh, surely not. Surely Herr Mueller would never harm his own wife. It was a ridiculous notion. My thoughts were churning so hard that I barely heard the floor manager bid me good morning as he returned to his duties. I had a hard time acting normal when Herr Mueller popped into the office to discuss a few business particulars and assign me some extra duties. It was 3 days since his wife had left for the East Coast, and he was still acting jittery. I did great with that sentence. His color was unnaturally high. His hands trembled when he gestured, and his voice was a touch too loud. "Gott im Himmel." He was acting guilty, as if. The extra work kept me busy until late that evening. There was almost no one left on the floor but Herr Mueller and myself when I finally finished my tasks. I was preparing to leave when I heard thump, thump, thump. The sound was coming from the main boiler vat. Alarmed by the noise, I rushed out onto the floor. Herr Mueller was standing in the center of the room, staring fixedly at the boiler, face snow white and his body shaking. I followed his gaze and saw a greenish light approaching from the far side of the vat. The next morning, the glowing translucent figure of Frau Mueller appeared before us. Her head was crushed to a pulp and lolled obsessively against her left shoulder. Her body was misshapen and bloody. She looked as if she had been ground to pieces and then stuffed into a human-sized sausage skin.
Okay, now it's just funny.
One of her eyes had popped out of the socket. The other rolled back into her crushed skull.
No
Is there
longer
still a
funny.
child nearby? No, they're good. I just wanted to make sure I reread that just in case there was any kids.
There was one
The,
there.
the eldest is over there.
Dear. Her teeth were sharp splinters that had cut grotesquely through the flesh of her own lips. Mueller, she moaned. Come with me, Mueller.
I've always thought a sausage would talk.
I doubled over and vomited on the
ghost
floor
sausage.
as the apparition stretched forth, skinless, broken hands that grabbed the lapels of Mueller's coat. With surprising strength for such a misshapen corpse, Frau Mueller dragged her husband toward the sausage grinder. Mueller screamed in terror and beat at the phantom with both fists until she released him. Then he rushed out of the back door and into the alleyway, still screaming. When Herr Mueller vanished, so did his dead spouse. I wiped my mouth with a trembling hand and staggered out to the front door, wanting to get away from Mueller and his ghost wife as fast as my legs would carry me. I was going to have to call the police, but what would I tell them? I couldn't tell them that I had seen a ghost of Frau Mueller haunting the sausage factory. They'd lock me up. I tottered home on legs that could barely hold me, wondering what to tell my wife. How could I ask her to believe in a ghost when I barely believe in it myself? When I reached the house, I found a police sergeant in the kitchen with my wife, who was having hysterics. The room stank of vomit, grease, and fried sausages. As soon as she saw me, my wife flung herself, weeping, into my arms. "What's going on?" I asked the sergeant, who was scraping the remains of my wife's dinner into a bag.
Ugh.
"I cooked up those sausages you brought home from the factory," my wife sobbed into my shoulder.
Why does his wife sound like that?
The first sausage tasted fine, but I almost cracked a tooth on something hard inside the second sausage. There was a wedding ring buried inside that sausage, my wife gasped. I recognized it at once. It belonged to Frau Mueller.
I call BS. No one recognizes somebody else's wedding ring.
Yeah, unless you were thinking of stealing it, casing the joint. The police think Herr Mueller murdered her by pushing her into the sausage grinder, and I just ate one of those sausages.
No.
She tried to vomit again, but there was nothing left in her stomach, except for an awesome ring. I held her during the dry heaves and cradled her gently against my chest. I knew exactly how she felt.
No, you don't, because you didn't eat the sausage.
"We've sent some men around to arrest Herr Mueller," the sergeant told me. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you will probably have to testify in court." My wife nodded and clutched me tighter. "I've got her statement right here," the sergeant told me. "You look after your missus now. She's had a bad day. But she did her duty like a trooper. Credit where it's due." He nodded very politely to both of us and then exited with a bag full of evidence. We learned later that the police found Herr Mueller in the alley behind the factory, rolled into a ball, screaming like a maniac. He said he had seen his wife's ghost out of the meat grinder. "She's trying to pull me into the grinder, too. She wants to make me into a sausage," he sobbed. "But I won't go." He ended up in an asylum for the mentally insane. A wealthy man purchased the factory after Mueller was committed and tried to continue the profitable sausage business.
How to profitable sausage business?
schnitzel. She wants to turn me to schnitzel. But the ghost of Frau Mueller made so many gruesome appearances on the factory floor that the owner couldn't keep any worker longer than a week, and he was forced to close the shop forever. As for me, I quit my job at the factory and found another position in the banking firm, and my wife and I never ate sausages again.
Reasonable.
Yes.
That was good. That story was written by...
Nobody knows.
We gotta
It was
say
just
who.
retold by S.E. Schlosser.
It was retold by S.E. Schlosser, retold by Jesse Wilkins, sent to us by Tess. Thank you so much for that. Book is full of spooky stories.
And I'm 90% sure that story is based off of a true story. I'm pretty sure there is a guy who owned a sausage factory that killed his wife and put her into the sausage stuff.
True stories only. True stories only here at Hometown Ghost Stories, Campfire Tales. Savannah gifted 20 memberships. Thank you
wow.
very much.
Thank
Not
you,
Savannah,
Savannah.
sorry. Another Vice gifted 20 memberships. And Savannah commented, "Why is his wife Arthur Morgan?"
Yeah, thank you so much, that other Vice.
Spot on. That's exactly the accent I was going for, actually.
Okay, boy. It's going to be all right. Just eat your sausage. That's fun. That book will come in handy for these because that was I feel like that was a perfect length.
Yeah,
For
That was pretty good,
Campfire
yeah.
Tale.
I'd appreciate
done.
more dialogue so I can do more silly voices, but
Yes, silly voices are the most fun.
we'll have you read the other listener story that was written for us.
Yes.
sounds good.
But for now, I have a story that I wrote it today and it's kind of long, so I'm going to try and get through it, see if I can remember it. I'm going to try and not reference my phone, but we'll see how that goes. This story is called Thesius Inoculum.
I also forgot to throw the ghost dust.
That bell should have went off during my story.
Church bells going on. Oh, that would have been perfect, wouldn't it? I don't know if they can
right?
hear it.
Bummer. Oh yes, the TikTok microphone.
Yeah, I wonder if you guys can hear that bell because that would have went really well with my story.
Yep. If you're watching on TikTok, make sure you guys, at some point, head on over to our YouTube, subscribe. We
Yes.
drop new episodes every Tuesday, reviews and side content as well, and more lives.
And follow our HTGS reviews page as well. We don't push that enough, but go give that a subscribe.
Dr. Vernon scribbled in his journal, day 355. It had been almost a year since he developed a cure for the disease that almost wiped out the entire global population. As far as he knew, there was only about 150 people left in the small village he lived in Austria. And thanks to his cure, the 150 people were still alive, most likely due to him. He had some moral questions about his cure that he thought about from time to time, but considering the entire human race was on the brink of extinction, he put those various subjective nuances aside for the time being. That was when his assistant Sarah poked her head in the door. "Doctor, you have a patient." "Who is it?" "It's Mrs. Kennedy." Dr. Vernon nodded. "Send her in." Sarah pushed the door open, and in walked Mrs. Kennedy, a portly middle-aged woman that Dr. Vernon had known from around town. And he immediately noticed that she had red sores on her face and on her arms. And this was a telltale sign of the disease that had wiped out so many people. It started with red sores and then would go to bleeding, pussy, boils. Then comes the decay, and then comes death. And it all happens very quickly. Once you see the first signs of this disease, you're dead within 72 hours. "When did you first see the symptoms?" Dr. Vernon asked Mrs. Kennedy. "This morning," she said. "Good, then you still have time. Please take a seat." Mrs. Kennedy took a seat on the edge of the hospital gurney that Dr. Vernon had, and Sarah, the assistant, came and attached electrical sensors to each one of her temples, while Dr. Vernon took a vial of blood from her arm. He put the blood vial down and reached into his drawer and pulled out another syringe, this one full of a strange yellow liquid, and he placed it on the table in front of them. "Are you ready?" he said. "How long does it take, the cure?" 24 hours, said Dr. Vernon. Mrs. Kennedy just nodded her head and said, "Okay, I'm ready." Dr. Vernon picked up the syringe, stuck it into her right shoulder, and depressed the plunger. Within a few seconds, Mrs. Kennedy's eyes closed, and the heart monitor next to the bed beeped a few more times and then flatlined. "Take the body to the incinerator," Dr. Vernon said to Sarah, and Sarah, without reacting, wheeled the gurney out into the hallway, down to the furnace, and slid Mrs. Kennedy's corpse into the fire. Back at the lab, Dr. Vernon stood in front of a large machine, at the top of which had a large glass cylinder filled with a liquid. He pressed a green button on the machine, and a door in the ceiling opened up, and a generic androgynous human body dropped into the liquid with a splash. It had no facial features, no hair, nothing, no gender, basically just a generic, lifeless human body.
His name was first name, last name.
His name was first name, last name, that's right. He took the vial of Mrs. Kennedy's blood and he inserted it into the front of the machine and then ejected the microchip from the computer that had been attached to Mrs. Kennedy's temples and pressed the button again, and the water inside the cylinder began bubbling. And that's when that generic, androgynous, lifeless human body began slowly morphing. And over the next 24 hours, that generic body began adopting all of the features of Mrs. Kennedy. Her facial features, her hair.
This is how Mark Zuckerberg was made.
This is how Mark Zuckerberg was made. At the end of the 24 hours, what was formerly the generic human body now lay on the hospital gurney and was a striking resemblance to Mrs. Kennedy. Dr. Vernon and Sarah watched as the clone of Mrs. Kennedy opened its eyes, and the clone said, "Did the cure work?" And Dr. Vernon smiled and said, "Like a charm. Sarah, please escort Mrs. Kennedy back to her vehicle." And Sarah did just that. Her and Mrs. Kennedy walked back outside. This was Dr. Vernon's cure. He was cloning the people who had the infection, euthanizing them, incinerating their corpses, uploading their memories, and copying their DNA so that the clone would believe it was that person. The clones did not know they were clones. And each one was almost a complete, perfect replica of the person that they were before they were cloned, except for a couple of slight differences. Eyes might be slightly further apart, the nose might be a little bit bigger, and there were slight differences in their temperaments as well. Usually for the negative, they'd be slightly angrier or have shorter tempers, things like that, but it hadn't been much of an issue. Dr. Vernon had noticed some things as of late where people would forget things or they'd get into arguments easier in the street, but he thought it was a small price to pay to save the human race. Over the course of the next couple of days, different people came in with infections and he administered his cure, disposing of their bodies and letting the clones back out. And they never knew the difference. Until one day Sarah walked in, Dr. Vernon's assistant, and she had the sores on her arms and face. Dr. Vernon was crushed, as was Sarah, because unlike the other people, Sarah knew what the cure consisted of. And it terrified her. But it didn't terrify her as much as the alternative, to die a horrible death from this Black Plague type disease that had plagued the entire world. So she knew what they had to do. She sat on the gurney. Dr. Vernon said, "Are you ready?" And she said, "Yes." And he plunged the syringe into her arm, and she closed her eyes. And for the first time, Dr. Vernon wheeled his assistant down the hallway to the incinerator, because now he had no assistant to do that for him. And he dumped Sarah's body into the incinerator. He walked back to the lab and began the process. The generic, lifeless body dumped into the cylinder, and he inserted Sarah's DNA and her memory and waited 24 hours. When the Sarah clone opened her eyes, Dr. Vernon looked at her and said, "Are you you?" And she said, I don't know, I think so. Dr. Vernon had a moment to reflect, knowing that it didn't matter really whether she thought she was Sarah or not, because a clone wouldn't know whether it was the original or the copy either way. So he said, "Well, you know, I was actually thinking during the process while I was waiting for you to wake up, you were the last person that existed besides myself that wasn't a clone." And he said basically the whole village is now a village of clones. And then Sarah said, "Is it even the same village at all?" And they pondered for a moment.
She said, "Now you're all a clone."
And Dr. Vernon said, "Well, there's still me." And Sarah gave him an angry look. There was something in her eye that made Dr. Vernon uncomfortable, almost like she was angry with him. And that's when he had a moment of panic, because Sarah, even the clone of Sarah, knew Dr. Vernon's secret. If she could have outed him to the rest of the village, there could be a revolt, because technically he was a mass murderer. But Sarah spoke up. She said, "You don't even remember, do you? Why would you? You were the prototype. You were the first clone." Dr. Vernon had a moment of panic again, and he thought it couldn't be. But why would he remember if he was a clone? He ran over to his journal and rummaged through the pages, scanning back over a year, and that's when he saw it. His handwriting had changed, and his notes from a year ago. He had the infection. He had the idea of cloning, and he tested it on himself. So in the process of trying to save the human race, he had accidentally exterminated every last human. The end.
That'd be a great, like, Black Mirror episode or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the idea for that from it's an old philosophical question of Theseus's ship.
That's actually what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
When you were weirdly I was gonna say that in the middle of the story.
Yeah. Well, that was the story was called Thesius Inoculum, but so yeah, the philosophical question, if you're not familiar with it, is if you replace every single part of a ship one by one, is the finished product the same ship or a different ship?
It's a new ship.
Well, I don't think so, because like we were just kind of talking about this earlier, when we were talking about the Paul Revere house, where like everything on the Paul Revere house has been replaced essentially. So is it the same house?
Kinda, you know.
That's why
Yeah.
that's why you can't just answer it
That's
right away, because
it's a tough one, yeah.
I think it depends on a few different things, like the amount of time that you spend replacing the parts of the ship, right?
Yeah.
And is the ship still being a ship over the process of replacing all of the parts to it?
Well, I think that's what they're with the ship. That's what they're talking about, because that particular ship, the parts weren't all replaced at once. They were replacing it over the course of hundreds of years, right?
Right.
So
Okay, well, here's an extra layer to think about. So you replace all of the old parts with new parts, but as you replace the old parts, you build a ship out of the old parts. Now you have an entire new ship, Theseus's ship, and you have the entire old ship reconstructed out of the old parts. Which one is Theseus's ship?
Oh, no. I'd say it's the old one.
Well, the old one is
If you have a Lego set and you drop it and then you put it all back together, it's still the same Lego set. So if you take apart that old ship and you're replacing parts with the new one and you're building back the old ship again, the old ship is still the original ship.
yeah, but you would
new one is a
you would be
replica.
doing that at once. You would never do that over the course of 100 years. And if you're replacing the part's destroyed already.
Maybe some people really take their time with Legos. So, it is interesting. And the pieces aren't necessarily destroyed, they're just getting old. So they're getting out ahead
Well,
of it.
they're getting to the point that they're unusable.
Yeah, well, maybe your old ship won't float, but that is the original ship. Anyways, this conversation sucks. Shall we hop into your second ghost story there, Rob? Just throw my dog. Don't throw my dog. We love my dog.
Good girl, Cersei. Yes, we can do my second one. Ooh, I probably shouldn't have set this on the ground, as it is a little wet. But I called this one Shadows because I didn't know what else to name this one. So
Where's the skull of mystery? Go get it.
I need.
I forgot to throw it. I'm disappointed with myself.
You have another chance.
Sorry, I accidentally threw the dog instead.
This story is Shadows. Please put this back.
Take a mic.
Yes. I'm gonna have to get another set of 4 of mics.
I know. Or at least a set of 3, but that'd be a weird number to sell. Go on, sirs.
I don't remember the exact night it began. There's a blank where the first wrongness should be. One moment I'd be making coffee. The next I'd find myself standing in the hallway with a warm mug and no memory of pouring it. Time stopped behaving. Minutes spilled into hours, and hours pinched down to seconds. It started with small things. A photograph on the mantle turned face down. A drawer I closed left slightly open. My wall calendar had whole days missing. Daylight began to tilt wrong. A beam of sun would hang in place as if the house had paused and I kept breathing. Then the sounds came. Not the house settling, but the purposeful noises of someone else living in my rooms. Keys at the door I never used. A kettle boiling in the middle of the afternoon. Footsteps pacing in the upstairs like a metronome. I left notes. This is my house. I found them later folded into drawers, not in my hand. He arrived like something inevitable.
What?
He arrived like something that was inevitable.
Oh.
I saw him one evening in the living room, standing where the moonlight cut into the floor. He moved through my furniture with the casual intimacy of someone who had always known exactly where the mugs were. A thumb along the back of the couch, the careful tilt of a lamp, straightening frames until the photograph sat true. He hummed under his breath. He never looked at me. He moved my things into places that made sense to him. I yelled. I banged doors. And I threw dishes until the plates were shards on the tiles. But he barely noticed. He cooked. The house would fill with the smell of lemon and onions and beef. A life that I hadn't tasted in years. He hung coats where hooks had been, empty. He stacked boxes in corners where dust had settled for decades.
The hell was he cooking?
Lemons, onion, and
Good old,
beef.
good old lemon onion beef stew. She sounds delicious. Probably great.
Probably.
The place took on the small, everyday gestures of something making home. Once he set a small wooden frame on the wall. He wiped his hands and smiled at the faces inside. A woman and 2 children. He looked up, as if the picture completed the room. For a long time, I thought I was guarding something. I followed him from room to room and shouted until my throat was raw. He rearranged my life the way a newcomer rearranges furniture for comfort, and he never once looked my way. Tonight he turned to leave. He paused in the doorway, glanced toward the space I'd always occupied, and said lightly, "This is finally a home." I stepped forward because I wanted to anchor myself with something living, to prove I was still in the house where everything else insisted I be. My hand found the sleeve of his shirt and slid through it like steam. There was no fabric, no resistance. He did not feel me. He left the light on and shut the door behind him, humming that same small tune. I stood alone in a house that had been rearranged into someone else's memories, and for the first time, the missing pieces made sense. The living move on. The rest of us are the ones who stay behind to watch.
From the perspective of a residual haunting or intelligent haunting,
Yes.
kind of residual. I don't know. It could be either.
Nice job.
Thank you. I tend to tell stories from the ghost and the monster's perspective every time we do this.
I like it. I have one more from the book.
Well, could you read the one from the listener that sent in to us?
I don't have a phone.
I have a phone.
All right, so you read that one. I'll read this one.
All right.
This one is called Don't Turn On the Light.
As you turn on the biggest light in the yard.
Natural light, yeah. Give me a mic.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I have your dog.
You do.
She also wants the mic.
Mm-hmm. I placed her very gently on the ground this time. It worked much better.
Don't do it, Frankie.
Leave that alone. It's going to get your fingers all sticky. All right. Don't turn on the light.
Ironic, because that's exactly how you're going to read that story right now.
Yeah, in complete darkness. She commandeered the small study room in the basement of her dormitory as soon as she realized that she would have to pull an all-nighter in order to prepare for tomorrow's final exam in history. Her roommate, Jenna, liked to go to bed early. So she packed up everything she thought that she would need and went downstairs to study and study and study and study and study and study some more. Around midnight, she ordered pizza and wings. Thank goodness for all-night cafes. And munched away until close to 2 o'clock, when she realized that she'd left one of the textbooks she needed upstairs on the bed. She did a bit of creative cursing, and for a moment contemplated leaving it there and just making do without the books and using the books that she already had. But she knew that her professor had relied heavily on the information in that particular pickle. Right?
In that particular pickle.
There were many pickles throughout the room now, on the particular text in the midterm exam. With a dramatic sigh, she rose, stretched out the kinks in her back, and climbed the stairs slowly to her third-floor dorm room. The lights were dim in the long hallway, and the old boards creaked under her weary tread. She'd have to walk more softly then. That's not worded correctly. She didn't want to wake up Jenna, who was a light sleeper. She reached her room and turned the handles as softly as she could, pushing the door open just enough to slip inside so that the hall lights wouldn't wake her roommate. The room was filled with a strange metallic smell that was new. She frowned a bit, her arms breaking out into chills. She was a bit frightened, though she could not fathom why. There was almost a feeling of malice in the room, as if a malevolent gaze were fixed upon her, which was nonsense, of course. She obviously needed to get some sleep after the finals were over, and if this was the sort of trick her mind was starting to play on her, she wasn't going to be happy. She could hear Jenna's breathing on the far side of the room, a heavy sound, almost as if she had been running. Jenna must have picked up a cold during the last tense weeks before the final. No wonder her roommate had wanted to go to bed so early. She crept along the wall until she reached her bed, groping among the covers for the stray history book. In the silence, she could hear a steady drip, drip, drip sound. She sighed silently. It must be the bathroom sink leaking again. Facilities had come to fix it last week, but apparently they'd done a shoddy job. She'd have to call them again in the morning. Her fingers closed on the textbook. She picked it up softly and withdrew from the room as silently as she could. There was no change in Jenna's heavy breathing, so she must not have awakened her. Good. Her roommate needed to rest to recover from her cold. Relieved to be out of the room, she hurried back downstairs and collapsed onto an overstuffed chair to peruse her book and take some more notes. The tedious hours ticked by. She studied and studied and studied and studied and studied and studied some more. Around 6 o'clock, as it began to grow light outside, she decided that enough was enough. If she slipped upstairs now, she'd get a couple hours of sleep before her 9 o'clock exam. Collecting her books and papers, she packed up her bags and trudged slowly up the stairs to her room, exhausted, almost beyond bearing. The first of the sun's rays were beaming through the windows as she slowly slid the door open, hoping not to wake Jenna. Her nose was met by an earthy, metallic smell a second before her eyes registered the scene in her dorm room. Jenna was lying on top of her bed against the far wall. Wall. I struggle with that word sometimes.
It's a long one.
Wall.
A lot of syllables.
Yeah. Saturating the bedclothes and in a huge congealing pool on the floor. Did I skip a little bit?
I don't think so.
Might have skipped a little bit. There was blood everywhere. Did I mention
No,
that detail?
you didn't.
Okay.
That sounds like an important detail.
But we need that detail.
Oh, yeah. Her throat was cut from ear to ear. All right, I picked the wrong story for the TikTok guidelines. She wasn't doing well. Vaguely, as if from in the distance, she began to become aware of the horrible screeching sound. Scream after scream ripped through the building as regular as clockwork. Dimly, she realized that she was the one wailing in terror, but she couldn't stop herself any more than she could cease wringing her hands. All along the hallway, she could hear voices exclaiming in fright, doors banging open, footsteps running down the passage. Within moments, she was standing in the middle of a crowd of people in the doorway. Several other girls started to scream too, and people milled about in fright, exclaiming in horror at the scene before them. She feared that for her best friend, who stayed in a room just a few doors down. Her friend grabbed her. She was pointing a trembling finger toward the wall over her bed on the clean side of the room. She turned her head slowly to look, feeling very old. She was feeling old. This is actually, that's what they said. Whatever, she felt old. Then her eyes widened in shock as she saw what was on the wall. For a moment, her heart seemed to stop in sheer terror. Then she fainted, hitting the floor with an audible thud. On the wall above her bed, written in her roommate's blood, were the following words: "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" So she studied. And that's that one.
Almost sounded like Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
As you were reading that, that's what I was thinking of. His last, when he went into berserker mode at the end. I think at Florida State?
I don't know.
Yeah. Have you ever looked into the Ted Bundy story?
No.
Dude, it is insanity.
Yeah, I'm starting to think he wasn't a good guy.
No, but like he escaped prison twice.
That's just irresponsible.
It is.
Do better, prison guards.
Yes. While we're building the fire, I'll tell you guys about our live show.
Hang on, I'm absolutely... The bag that fell. So
Oh, good.
We're just fondling the mics right now. Let me put this down until I can... Actually, I wonder if I can do this. There we go.
Well, I don't know why I have to hold on if you're the one who's...
No, you can go. I actually think the mic's probably good right there.
So we have a live show, October 24th in Weymouth, Mass. If you're not familiar with us, we will be doing a live show at Barrel House Z. Tickets are $20. You can go to our website to get tickets to that. And we also have a bunch of new merch available in our merch shop at hometownghoststories.com, also where you can go to get tickets. We have a Ghost Pirate Mafia shirt. We have a Ghost or Probably Real shirt. And I think this weekend we're releasing the leftover batch of orange shirts that we...
Yeah, but it's way cooler than you made it sound. It's the latest
limited edition.
Limited edition Hometown Ghost Story Spooky Season 2025 t-shirts.
Yes.
They are awesome. So those will be up on the website this weekend.
Yeah, we will not be restocking those. So once those orange shirts are gone...
Gone for good.
They are gone for good.
That's right.
So once those go up, if you want one, you should get that immediately.
Cool. All right, so this one, first time ever on Campfire Horror Stories, is a listener submitted, what I assume is probably a work of fiction, sent in by the other Rachel B. And this is the first. I haven't read this. You read it, right, Rob?
The first one that she sent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it read like a true story, or that she wrote a horror story?
Oh no, it's a horror story, but
Like
it's a
wrote a
good
fiction.
one.
Yeah, cool. All right, sweet. So, without further ado, this is called Daddy's Girl.
Fire.
Without further ado, this is called Daddy's Girl.
Oh, I thought you were just pumped about the name of it. Oh, that's fire, bro.
Yeah, that's a fire name, Rachel.
I just moved to this neighborhood. It's nice. Different from what I'm used to. Did you get them a Aztec death whistle?
No, I think they just found the sound on YouTube and played it really loud on the TV.
I like how they waited for me to be telling the story.
Yeah.
I just moved to this neighborhood. It's nice. Different from what I'm used to, from the city I used to live in.
Dave, can you stop rotating yourself off camera?
No, I can't actually. It's quiet, wooded. There's all kinds of birds singing and cows that moo in the distance. Everyone waves at you when they drive by in their BMW or their tractor. Everyone seems to know everything about me when I manage to make the small talk. When I manage to make small talk.
The small talk.
I know that. She didn't write that. I said that. So typically I just roll right through it, but I lost my spot. Everyone seems to know everything about me when I manage to make small talk, even though I've never met anyone. There's no family or friends nearby, so I want to say the neighbor's awareness of me is a nice gesture. Finding a job has been more difficult than I anticipated. I can clean any sort of biohazard mess or radioactive areas, clean an operating room under airborne lockdown, but down here in the middle of nowhere, it has been hard to find work. But I found a company that sends some people into elderly homes to care for people. The woman that interviewed me was extremely eager to get me started with paperwork. She even skipped fingerprinting, background checks, payroll information, just wanted my address and contact information. You're wonderful. Can you work with an individual in your neighborhood this weekend? Just to get ready for bed? Maybe an hour every night? Great personality, eccentric? Yeah, I guess so. I need money, so I can make the times work. I agreed. The next night, I was looking at the information I was sent about the client. She lived just down the road. Couldn't get more convenient than that. But there's no streetlights on the asphalt road, so it gets super dark out once the sun goes down. So I can drive down 3 houses to get to the driveway of the client I was going to meet for the first time. I double-checked the high points of the information I was given. Lives in a wheelchair, very opinionated, will tell you what she needs. I drove down the gravel driveway to find an old Ford vehicle from 40 years ago parked in the front of the garage. A beautiful wraparound porch with pillars, no sidewalk, the only light was from the porch lights. I walked up and knocked on the door and pushed it open. The whole house was completely dark. The only light was from the minimal dusk light coming through the lace curtains in the room inside. "Hello?" I called. "I'm new. I'm supposed to help you get ready for bed tonight." A shadow moved to the right side of what I could see. Once my eyes adjusted, I could see a faint outline of a person hunched over in a wheelchair. "Yes, I know. I've been waiting. Can you please close the door?" she said. I turned around and closed the front door, making it even more dark in the house. I'm not used to being in somebody else's house, so I took my shoes off to be polite and put my bag down on top of my shoes with my car keys so I could find them easily. "Can I turn a light on?" I asked. No. I pay enough for services. I don't want to pay for more than I need to. And I don't need anyone outside seeing inside my house. The client said, "Come closer, and I can tell you about myself. Then we can get ready for bed." So I pulled her wheelchair towards the entryway, looking at the grand crown molding, the custom cabinets, all the personalized details that had been put into the house. She threw her good hand out as far as it would go to motioning me to stop. Wait. I need the rubber mat that allows me to go over the threshold. My daily girl should have left it in the garage. Go through the kitchen, take a left, then another left, and go through the door. It should be somewhere in there. The client said with an edge to her voice. "Oh, okay, let me find where the hallway is. I'll take a look," I said as I put her brakes on and walked into the darkness behind us. I used the flashlight on my phone to see where I was going. The other rooms were taped off with painter's tape. The door handles had big X's crossed over them to make sure it was very clear not to try them. I unlocked the door that wasn't closed off and opened it. She couldn't see around this many corners, so I tried the right...
Doing great.
I know, small letters.
Take your time, sound it out.
The garage was filled with old doors, windows... Jesus Christ. The garage was filled with old doors, old
Garage is
windows.
full of Jesus Christ.
Old doors, old windows, construction equipment covered with drape cloths, an old lift chair equipped on the wall that had clearly not been used in a very long time. There were gallons of mineral spirits on the floor and gallons of paint sitting on a blue tarp. There was a smell that didn't smell like anything I could recognize. It smelled familiar, but nothing that I could put my finger on. It was strong, and I covered my nose as I looked from the ramp that I was supposed to find. I looked for the ramp. I started to gag from trying to hold my breath in the fumes when I found a rubber ramp that would fit under the front door. I picked it up and ran back up into the house, locking the door behind me. Taking some deep breaths inside, I returned to my client's side and presented what I found. "No, that's not the right one. Go look again, and look harder this time," she said, shaking her head. So I went back to the garage door, unlocked it, and went back into the foul-smelling space. There was a lot that was covered by tarps. If I was looking for a small rubber ramp that fits under the front door, it had to be on the floor. At least that would make sense. I covered my mouth as I tried to hold my breath. There were garden fences, stuffed animals, concrete animal statues, ladder boxes of clothes, but not what I was supposed to find. I went back inside when I was starting to get lightheaded. I locked the door behind me and went back to my client, who was waiting at the threshold of the kitchen. "I didn't find anything," I said with a slight cough. "Well, I guess we can make this one work. Just put it in the front door and take me outside onto the porch," she said with a shake of her head. I did as she instructed, and she kept her crooked neck as still as she could as we moved outside. She motioned to me to sit down on the swinging bench as I put the brakes on. We looked out over a freshly cut lawn being enveloped in the dusk. "I haven't always been like this, you know," she said. "I may be physically restrained, but I am of sound mind. I have a lot of caretakers. Some have been good, but there was one that was very awful. I called the cops on her. I called the company to have her removed. No one listened. So I had to make sure she would never took charge of me." I'm going to reread that because I misread it. She did not misread it. "I had to make sure she never took charge of me. I like what I like, and I know what I don't like." "All right, that makes sense," I said, trying to cover up the cough that was trying to come up. "If you feel like talking with me, please do, but I won't be mistreated. I already made that decision," she said, struggling to raise her head. I rocked my foot on the ground and tried to swing myself on the porch swing to relax a little bit. "What is the plan for tonight? We don't have a lot of time, but we can get the necessities done," I tried to cover my cough as I replied. "Take me back inside and make me some food from the freezer. But don't overcook it. I can sleep in what I'm wearing," she said. I took a deep breath and turned her around, pushed her back up over the ramps and into the house. "I want to see what you're doing in the kitchen. Put me where I can see you. If anything happens, I'll call 911, she said for no reason. I took a deep breath and leaned on the counter. I wasn't used to working late hours, so a little bit of dizziness should be normal for being up so late at night. "Okay, we don't have to call 911. Everything is under control," I said with a reassuring smile. We looked at each other from different angles. She studied me, trying to look up from what her neck would allow, and I looked down at her, hoping for a half-decent outcome of whatever this was going to be. "There is a box cutter by the chair where I sleep. Don't move or touch it. I need it in case something happens when I need it," she said. "All right, that's fine," I reassured her. "I've had this property for decades, and this house for almost the same amount of time. I want you to understand that I am not decrepit," the client said with a strong tone. "Absolutely," I said, coughing into my shoulder, trying to be polite. "I'm just here to help you." I won't be abused again," the client said. "What?" I said with a blank face. "I won't ever be abused again. Daddy said that it's not allowed. He's dead now, but he was smart. He was a contractor and an engineer. He built this house. He was my everything. I know every inch of this house," the client said with a sober face. "I would like to be faced towards the windows for bed." I positioned her wheelchair where she wanted to face. I leaned down to reposition her bad leg. There was a hot pain in my neck when I lifted her leg onto the stool. I saw a pool of red underneath her, but after a few seconds, my neck started to hurt. As I stood up, there was a searing pain in the back of my neck. I hadn't done any yard work that day or exercise, so there was no reason for a random pain in the neck. The client turned her neck just enough to look at me. I could see one eye make contact with me as I stood up straight. I saw a pool of red blood quickly growing on the floor, but it didn't seem to be coming from my client. She was motionless, looking at me as best she could from her stooped angle. The blood was pouring down my shirt, and I started to connect the dots. It was my blood, and it was pooling quickly. My body started shivering with a cold spell. Dizziness and the need for fight or flight were conflicting sensations. "What did you do?" I asked, clamping my hand to my neck. The client looked at me in the eye through her stringy hair that wasn't tamed back under her headband. A cold smirk formed. "I may be living in a wheelchair, but I told you, I am sound of mind. I know what I'm doing, and I won't be mistreated again. You don't care enough to get to know me, and you remind me of someone who was so mean to me. She killed my cat. She tried to kill me. Well, now I am in control, and I will not be on the wrong side of the situation this time," she said calmly. "I can still get to the garage, and I can still mix a little of this and a little of that. It makes a mess and has a smell, but people usually don't recognize it before it's too late." I tried to cough, but I gurgled, and some more blood sprayed out onto the clean floor. I dropped to one knee from sudden exhaustion. The words wouldn't come out, even as I tried harder to get them to plead for help. "I'll call 911 in a few minutes. They'll get here really quickly," which was a good thing most of the time. They arrived within 10 minutes when my stove went up in smoke. "It needs to be cleaned. Oh well, my regular girl will have to clean this up tomorrow. Staff really shouldn't make such a mess, but I guess I can make a big deal out of it right now. Just please don't get anything on my cookies. I don't know what I would do without my midnight snack." The client watched me with a calm gaze. I tried to make sense of what was happening. Everything was getting fuzzy. Even the smell of urine from her was starting to disappear. I stared angrily at her, starting to realize that she was killing me for no reason, but it was too late. The room was getting darker, and I was getting colder. Within moments, she was above me, looking at me with a crooked angle that her body made her use. She tucked the box cutter behind her back into the bottom of the wheelchair cushion she was sitting on, tucking it into a crevice of urine-soaked towel. "Hello? Yes, 911? I have a terrible emergency to call in. It happened in self-defense. My caretaker is on the floor. No, I am not in danger anymore, but I don't feel safe at the moment. Yes, please send someone as soon as possible. I will leave the door open. I think I can manage to do that. No need to break another window to get in. Yes, please come. Thank you." The phone was put down on the footrest calmly. Some back and forth movements got the wheelchair out of the way of the pool of blood, and she went the long way through the kitchen to the front door. The door was already open, but why keep the good fellas waiting at a closed door when they could just walk in and get things cleaned up when they arrive? "Daddy, I think I'm safe again. I took your advice. I'm alone for now." But she just reminded me so much of what we weren't supposed to talk about. It's a good thing this care company does a slack job on keeping tabs on employees. "Did I do well?" She whimpered. A deep vibrating growl come from closed-off rooms around the living area. "I'm glad you think I did well. Good night, Daddy."
That was her.
Yeah, I know, I fucked that up. "I'm glad you think I did well. Good night, Daddy."
It's one of those rare relationships where the dad calls their daughter daddy. Wow, what a well-written story. That felt like a movie.
Yes. Well written, well performed.
It was just flawless. Everyone was impressed.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for sending that story.
Yeah, that was a really good story. Please send more, actually. You said she said we don't have time to read the second one today, but
Yeah,
save the second one for the next one, I guess.
Yeah.
Live disconnected on TikTok. I think we probably went live for too long. Probably gave us a puzzle that we couldn't solve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think, yeah, I think we probably wrap it up there.
Yeah.
I know normally we do Sorry, I'm away from, actually the TikTok mic doesn't matter now. I know normally we do a live one where we come up with prompts, but it's running late. Probably gotta get the daughter home now.
Yeah, unless you want to we can do a quick one, maybe.
We could do a quick one. Just chat one a quick one. You guys want to give us a couple of prompts? Maybe nothing. Maybe one prompt each. You want to go?
Dave has a phone here. He can read their
Oh,
prompt.
you
Yeah,
can
I
read
got
them
it.
from there. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
one
do one
prompt
quick
each.
one. Yeah, one prompt each. Give us something wacky, and we'll put something together.
If this is your first time watching the Campfire Tales, we always finish it off like this. We come up with a story on the fly. Some of us very good at it. Some of us not so much.
Thank you.
So
Whose turn is it to kick it off? I think it's Dave's turn to kick it off, right?
I'll kick it off. We got Sentient Skeleton, Curly Bigfoot, Pumpkinhead, Hot Dog Water, Tiger. Yeeted dogs,
no, that never happened.
chocolate starfish. Wait a minute.
We have hot dog water and chocolate starfish.
Of course we do.
Hell yeah.
It's okay, Cersei. I will save you.
Shout out to Fred Durst hanging out in chat, always plugging his own music.
Chocolate starfish. Rabid octopus.
We're not doing any more octopus.
I think I
Spooky
put- I
haikus.
think I put an octopus in the thumbnail.
I saw octopus. in the Unholy water. The left hand of an auto mechanical. The left hand of an auto mechanic, I assume.
Probably.
Church bells. Clay German soldier. We got a lot here. You want to pick one that you heard?
I'll take Tiger.
Zombie afraid of his shadow.
That's how you know Halloween is going to last for 6 more weeks or not.
Old hotel.
Old Hotel's a pretty good one to base it off of.
Lower intestines.
Random sirens, yeah. Okay, they can hear it.
Spooky haikus. Random sirens, yeah. Don't forget to like the live. That's a good one. I do like Sentient Skeleton. That's fun. Yeah. Jesse, you want to pick one?
I'll go back to the comments. Go with Unholy Water.
Unholy water, Sentient Skeleton. Rob, did you pick one? We
I'll
can
pick Tiger.
and Tiger. All right. And we're gonna base it in an old hotel.
Sure.
Sure, yeah, that works.
Why did I pick Sentient Skeleton?
Well, throw some magic dust in there while you're thinking.
Do all of it.
There might be a lot in there.
Put us in danger. Oh my God. That was like me cooking steak earlier.
It was.
People miss this.
That was frightening. All
Yeah,
right.
I've never had that happen before. Like I just added garlic to the pan for listeners. And
The house caught on fire.
almost. Almost.
was
There was like
close.
a 3-foot flame just boof. It was like right out of the pan. And like a veteran chef, I just went it worked. Normally that would set your house on fire, maybe the neighborhood. But it worked. Everyone's safe. Steak was delicious. Perfectly cooked as always.
The old wallpaper was yellowing and beginning to peel in the corners.
But then I put out the fire and now it's fine.
And I just sat in my chair in the corner of the room.
Off camera.
I know, I'm never going to
Dave's
stop
always
doing it. I'm
leaving.
never going to stop doing it. And I sat in my chair in the corner of the room, as I always did, waiting, watching as customers would come in and go. What would you call somebody who
Guests.
patronizes guests? Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, guests would come and go. They'd check into the front desk.
What kind of hotel are you at?
They checked into the front desk. That's where they slept.
They'd check in at the front desk before heading to their respective rooms.
Put their
And this is a lot easier if you shut the fuck up. And I liked sitting there. I liked watching them come and go. But I hated when the hotel staff would bother me. The janitors would bump into me as if I wasn't even sitting there. The maids would do the same. Some of the younger ones would even mess with me, pull pranks on me, as if I wasn't just sitting right there, observing everything. Then one day, I was sitting in my usual spot, and a couple of guests came to check in, but the front door clerk was away. One of them looked at me like, maybe you can help. The other one laughed and elbowed him in the ribs. I wasn't amused. A couple hours went by. They were still waiting there.
They were content with their one joke and they just stood there for hours.
And this seemed like the hotel clerk wasn't going to show up. So the boys, they left. And they were gone for a little bit. And then one of them came back with a bucket of water and threw it directly in my face. And they laughed and laughed and laughed. And I sat there dripping wet. And I just took it. I couldn't get out of my chair. Then the hotel clerk finally showed up, thank God, and stood behind the desk and said, "Can I help you too?" And the boys were laughing uncontrollably. And the hotel clerk looked at me and then looked back at the boys and said, "Hey, are you messing with our decorative skeleton?" And they said, "No, that wasn't us. That thing was dripping water when I got in." He said, "Good, you better not be. That's our mascot. He just sits in the corner there." And they said, "Well, it's not a real skeleton. He can't feel it." Which hurt my feelings, because I could feel it. What was I going to do? I was just a decorative, sentient skeleton.
Thanks, Dave. Really left me a lot to work with. Feeling unwanted, I left. And I said, I'd like to go on a camping trip.
Oh no.
No, I'm kidding. And then I remembered I can't go on a camping trip. So I went back into the hotel and sat back in my corner and I said, it's been a while since I rode the elevator. But I can't walk because I am a decorative skeleton.
Even though you just went outside and came back in?
I got down and rolled,
Oh, okay.
obviously. So I got down and rolled to the elevator. And the elevator operator man, what are those guys called? What do they call
That's what
those
they're
guys?
called.
Bellhop?
Sure.
Probably not. What's a bellhop?
Yeah, a bellhop's the guy who stands in the elevator and presses the button for you. Wears a funny little outfit.
The elevator operator man, that's some called bellhop. Sure?
Yep.
You sure?
Positive.
Sure about it. The bellhop obviously hopped over to me and said,
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
"What are you doing rolling around on the ground, Mr. Mascot?" He's like, "You know what? You are the mascot of the elevator today." And he took me and he sat me in the elevator. And he got in, and up came the first two guests, and I was excited. I had never ridden in an elevator before. I wondered, how does this thing work? Is it magic? Are there stairs? Is it a pulley system? Is this guy called a bellhop? Or did Dave make that up? Who knows? So when I went, he sat me in the corner and he waited. And the guests came in and they said, "I'd like to go to the 5th floor, please." And he said, "The 5th floor, ma'am?" She said, "That's right." And they stood there. And the elevator man, bellhop, stood there and did nothing. He just stood there with a big smile on his face. And the woman, now looking flustered, said, "Hey, it was the 5th floor, sir." But the bellhop said nothing. He just sat there and smiled. And he wasn't blinking. He was just standing and smiling with the widest grin I've ever seen. "Sir, are you going to take us up on this elevator or you want me to hit the button myself?" said the woman.
I was wrong about a bellhop.
Well, god damn. What's it called?
Elevator operator.
No way.
Yeah, bellhop does the luggage, man. I was going to let you guys figure that out yourself.
The
Chat corrected
elevator
me.
operator man, who also was the bellhop of the hotel, he works both jobs. He's a hardworking guy. He wasn't moving. I thought, wow. And I'm the guy who doesn't move. And at this point, the woman was very frustrated. She said, "Sir, if you don't take me up to that 5th floor, I'm going to go out there and file a complaint at the front desk with the bellhop." The man didn't say anything. And in my head, I'm like, hey, bellhop doesn't work at the front desk. Lady. And just then, the bellhop turned and said, "Say please." And the lady said, "Pretty sure I already did, but I'll say it again. Please take me to the 5th floor with my husband."
Why does that lady have such a German accent?
It's remarkable, isn't it? And the husband said, "Please take us to the 5th floor." Nobody knows what that accent is. Been working on it, crafting it. And the bellhop, who was still smiling, said, "Well, sure." And he pulled out a vial of water and sprayed it all over the elevator. And then, without pressing any buttons, without pulling any levers, the elevator began to move. Down and down and down. The woman said, "Well, shouldn't we be going up?" The elevator bellhop operator front desk man said,
Hoperator.
"Operator's good." He hopped over to her and said, "Yes, we should be going up." Go ahead, Rob. We'll edit it out. It's the worst story I've ever told. You really set me up for success, Dave. I apologize.
I had to work a sentient skeleton in there. Didn't know how else to do it.
As that elevator...
I never even said unholy water. By the way, that was unholy water.
We put it together, thanks.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
As that elevator continued down, the elevator operator's grin
Rob, wrap it up, will you?
got wider and wider, and the smile became unsettling for the couple that was on the elevator. As I, the sentient skeleton that couldn't move in the corner of the elevator, watched, a red material began to wrap around the leg of the elevator operator. His smile got more sadistic. We didn't know where we were going, but this substance wrapped around his body. His grin continued to get wider before he turned into this red thing with giant white eyes and teeth as sharp as a shark's. Some say as sharp as a tiger's. He continued to transform into this creature. His nails got longer. They were sharp as razors. They continued to transform. The redheaded girl in the elevator began to get terrified of what's happening over there.
She set up a sound effect and it's on a loop. It's all right.
And then she ran away.
The redheaded girl in the elevator, she got more and more frightened.
What did she say?
She looked at her boyfriend, Peter, and said, "Is that carnage?"
Is that carnage?
The red figure
Thank you, Juliet.
Thank you. The red figure burst through the elevator. The boyfriend, Peter, ripped off his suit. Underneath, he had a spandex suit. It was blue and red with a spider on the front.
Oh, Superman.
Look at the high five. Didn't plan that out.
He took off after the creature spraying some weird web liquid out of his arms. His girlfriend said, "Go get him, Tiger."
Go get him, Tiger.
But as he left, that red creature had left a bit of the substance behind. It began to wrap around my skeletal being. For the first time ever, I was able to wiggle my skeleton toes.
Skeletos.
My legs began to move. I was able to move my arms left and right. As it consumed my entire body, my teeth also got sharp, like a tiger's. My fingers also began to become claws.
Tiger fingers.
And I said, no one will ever throw water on me again. And I looked at the girl with the red hair, and I grinned. The end.
Nice.
She said, "You're all right." Well,
I like how you brought it around full circle.
yeah.
Somehow you made sense of that absolute disaster.
Are you telling me you actually think of what you're going to say before you say it? That's amazing. What's that little donation that we got
That's
there?
$50 from Papa Squatch saying, "I'd like one night at the HTGS hotel, please."
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Bring your bucket of water for the skeleton.
That's right.
Appreciate
Don't.
that, Papa Squatch. Absolutely generous.
He hates that.
And thank you all for tuning in to our third edition of
Yes.
Campfire Ghost Stories.
It was so fun.
Always fun.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think we'll probably try to do another one of these pretty soon. And we'll keep it up. Once again, thank you to everybody who donated. Make sure you grab your tickets for the live show. Come see us. Sheesh, maybe you can convince us to do one of these at the live show. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Nope. Surprised you're watching now. Anyways, once again, who sent us this one?
Tess.
Thanks again to Tess. A couple of good stories out of this one tonight.
Absolutely.
And I think that'll pretty much do it.
Yes, thank you to Papa Squatch for the donation, to Another Vice, and to Rachel B for sending in stories, and we will see you guys later.
Cool.
Good. Oh no, the button's in the way. We're
Sorry,
gonna
we'll
have to
just keep
move the
waving.
phone.
That Superman moment was our best moment
So
of the
weird.
show.
Later, guys.